a couple of times so far this week, and it looks like we might actually call a baseball game here tonight.
Yeah, you were talking about it before the broadcast. It's like, do we forget how to call a game? We thought our only job was coming here and just waiting for the rain out. But yeah, it's good to get back to Milford Legion baseball, and for a couple of different teams, you could look at this for a couple of different ways. Milford having played on the final game of the regular season. Of course, the regular season was extended today due to some rainouts, so they played on the 11th. They were going to be going right into the Zone 4 playoffs with no day's rest. So these 2 days of rest might actually help Milford get a lot of their players fresh and ready to go. And as for Wachusett, they hadn't played since July 9th, so they are now on their 5th day without playing a baseball game. Of course, those rainouts might hurt them, so they may come in a little bit rusty. So it'll be Milford who maybe has the advantage right now on paper, obviously coming in as the number 3 seed in 18-6 regular season. As for Wachusett, they finished the regular season 12-12, so Milford on paper has the advantage, but we know Coach Chuck Tidman will always have his guys prepared. Wachusett has a notoriously good squad from years past, so this isn't going to be a pushover game for Milford.
Certainly not at all, and a lot of young players on this Wachusett team that made tremendous progress during the regular season, earning 12 wins in the regular season, good for that number 6 position in the Zone 4 standings, and earning this matchup here at Fino Field tonight. And as Coach Tidman said in that Coach's Corner interview, a very good test for his team here tonight, that he wouldn't want them to be playing anywhere else than here at Fino Field, getting challenged by this Milford team. So we look forward to a good matchup between these two squads, and as we get set for game time, which now is less than 10 minutes from now, we'll move on here in our Consigli Ruggiero Funeral Home pregame show to bring you tonight's injury report. That is brought to you by Milford Regional Medical Center. And no injuries to report. Everyone is healthy and ready to go, and that is more to Anthony's point, an opportunity to get a couple of days of rest in after a really furious race to the finish for Post 59 in that final weekend of the season. We knew that Joe Sanchione was nursing a bit of a knee issue. He is back in the starting lineup. Also some other players nursing a couple of bumps and bruises here and there. So an opportunity to get a couple of days of rest. So now everyone healthy and ready to go for tonight's game. And just such a key point, Anthony. You really stop and think about this season for all of these Zone 4 teams. Just such a sprint to that finish line with 24 games at best in 30 days, as it turned out for Milford. Some teams having to condense that down even further. So to sneak in a couple of days of rest, it's certainly thrown the playoff brackets into chaos, but good for these players to be able to get a little bit of rest and health when they can.
Especially on the Wachusett side, they were the second to last team to start their season, and they were the first to finish it. They played 24 games in 23 days, so that really goes to show. Obviously, there were a few days of rest in between there, but a lot of doubleheaders, a lot of rain had to contributed to that, but especially for Wachusett, that rest is very crucial. So even though they've had 5 days of rest, they might come out a little bit rusty. I'm sure they were very appreciative of those couple extra days. And as for Milford, they ended the season not necessarily where they would have wanted to, 3-2 over their final 5 games. So not only rest for Milford, but also a chance to clear their heads and maybe get on the right path, because they haven't been playing their best baseball as of late to end the season, especially when you look at the beginning of the season where it seemed like mercy rule win after mercy rule win. They were putting up double-digit run totals pretty much every game, and now they've only scored, I think it was 6 runs or less in the last 5 games. So Milford needs to clear their heads, and hopefully that rest will do a lot of good tonight.
And with that, we'll move on now to tonight's starting lineups. Those are brought to you by the Milford National Bank and Trust Company, and we will begin with the visiting starting lineup. That is Wachusett Post 42, of course, led by head coach Chuck Tidman. And leading off is their left fielder, Artie Papandrea. The second baseman, Mike Fiorelli, bats second. Batting third and playing third base is Eddie Beauregard, with the catcher Jake Nadeau batting fourth. Liam Griffin plays first base and bats fifth, with Jonathan Rubin, tonight's starting pitcher, batting sixth. The center fielder, Nick Yanko, bats seventh, with Matt Felicio, the shortstop, batting eighth. And in the ninth spot, playing right field, is Ben Post. And for Milford Post 59 in their first playoff game of 2017, their starting lineup looks like this. Sean Rebello leads it off in center field. Dawson McMillan plays second base and bats second, with Aiden Wild, the designated hitter, batting third. Tyler Monahan is your cleanup hitter, playing third base, with Alex Reynolds catching and batting fifth. Kyle Nocera plays right field and bats sixth, with the left fielder Zach Sisitsky batting seventh. Jake LeBlanc is in at first base, batting eighth, and in the ninth spot, playing shortstop, is Joe Sanchione. And your pitching matchup features Jonathan Rubin on the Wachusett side, and he will be opposed by Michael Farrell, who has led this team in starts this season. He got the start on opening day back on June 11th against Leominster, and now we'll get the team's opening playoff start here tonight. And a little bit of an up and down season, Anthony, for Michael Farrell overall, but we did see some good stuff out of him, especially late in the season. Made a couple of relief appearances to try to keep his arm fresh heading into the playoffs. So Michael Farrell certainly a solid choice for Coach DeVito to get this opening playoff start.
Yeah, he's one of the more experienced guys on this team, has the playoff experience of a relatively young pitching staff and an experienced pitching staff for Milford this season. So they're going to go with the guy that's been around the program for a while, Michael Farrell. Even though it's been up and down, he's probably the best option to go to. You could have gone with Alex Masick, but he pitched recently for Milford, so you got to figure he might be in one of the next games for Milford. But Michael Farrell getting the start here tonight, and he's had a lot of rest since his last start. Obviously, all these Milford players have, but especially Michael Farrell. He worked in a relief appearance not too long ago back against Grafton Hill, the first game against Grafton Hill in the back-to-back game. He only pitched a third of an inning in that game, so he should be fresh and ready to go, and hoping to get these Zone 4 playoffs with a bang, start with a bang for Milford.
And the last start for Michael Farrell came back on the 4th of July against Framingham here at Fino Field. Farrell went 4+ innings in that game, ultimately allowed 7 runs on 7 hits, but he was able to claim the victory in that game thanks to some key offensive contributions on the Milford side of game. Milford ultimately won 11-7. So Michael Farrell looking for a solid start here to open up the playoffs. Overall, the numbers on the season pretty good for Farrell. 24 2/3 innings pitched. He made 5 starts through the regular season, a record of 2-2. He allowed a total of 23 hits, 23 runs, but only 12 of those earned. 9 walks to 22 strikeouts, and an ERA at 3.41 for Michael Farrell coming into the playoffs. And you look at that earned run number, Anthony, obviously a big disparity there, 23 runs, but only 12 earned runs on the season. That's obviously another topic for discussion over the course of this game is the defense for Milford, which was shaky at times. Coach DeVito's been very open and honest about that, so it will be interesting to see how the defense fares here in this playoff game this year, or this playoff game tonight, I should say. But with that, we will get the national anthem here in just a moment at field level, so we will step aside here in our pregame show. When we come back, we will have the first pitch of this playoff matchup between Milford and Wachusett. That comes your way right after this on My FM 101.3. Tomorrow, but all eyes on Fino Field right now as Michael Farrell is about to deal pitch number 1 of these 2017 playoffs into Artie Papandrea, and this ball is hit hard down the right field line, but that one is just foul. And with that, playoff baseball is underway. Tim Coet and Anthony Mazzini on the call for My FM 101.3.
Papandrea coming out very aggressive in his first at-bat, swinging at the first pitch of the game, and these teams are probably a little bit anxious, like I mentioned, haven't playing on Wachusett's side in 5 days, on Milford's side for about 3 days, so each team is anxious to get this underway.
Farrell now ready with his 0-1 pitch, and again a swing out of Papandrea. This time he fouls it off to the right and out of play, and he's down 0-2. Fans continuing to filter in here at Fino. Not as cool here as it was at this time last night with the rains falling as the 0-2 pitch misses high. Spent about 30 minutes down here at field level yesterday with the coaching staff hoping the rains would let up enough for a game to be played. That did not happen as this 1-2 pitch is on the outside corner for a called strike 3, and Farrell begins his night with a strikeout.
And that's an important sign for Michael Farrell. Hasn't pitched his best as well as he would have liked, I should say, this season. And a good strikeout on the outside part of the plate to set down Papandrea for the first out of this ball game.
That will bring up Mike Fiorelli, the second baseman, who takes a pitch up high for ball 1. Fiorelli, one of the longer veterans on this Wachusett team. And a swing and a miss evens the count at 1-1 to Fiorelli.
In Fiorelli's last game, that was back on July 9th in a doubleheader against Shrewsbury. In that second game of the doubleheader, Fiorelli went 2 for 3 and included a triple and an RBI.
Pitch misses high from Farrell, and he falls behind 2-1.
That second game of the doubleheader was an 8-4 win for Wachusett, so they are riding high off their last game of the regular season.
2-1 pitch is sent foul hard to the backstop, just in front of a group of fans set up in lawn chairs. Of course, one of those fans is The Legion legend himself, the former head coach of Post 59, Rich Pierre Gustavo, in attendance here tonight for this playoff game. Here's the 2-2 pitch now from Farrell, and that one just misses.
That was a pitch that Farrell would have liked, a similar pitch to what struck out Papandrea in the first batter of this ball game, but that one was just a little bit too far outside.
Runs the count full to Fiorelli. And here's the payoff pitch. That one sent foul again to the backstop. Not much wind here at the field tonight. The flag's out in left center field, hanging still at the moment. Farrell has the sign. Now another 3-2 pitch and a swing and a miss. And Fiorelli goes down swinging. So a called strike 3 to Papandrea, and now a swinging strikeout to Fiorelli. And Farrell has the first 2 outs in the first.
Very impressive start by Michael Farrell. 2 back-to-back strikeouts to start this ball game. The first one looking on Papandrea, and then this one swinging on Fiorelli. He ran that count full, but he battled back. A couple of good swings on foul balls by Fiorelli, but Farrell battled.
And now a pitch high and tight into the third baseman, Eddie Beauregard. Defensively for Milford tonight, it is Alex Reynolds behind the plate, Tyler Monahan at third, Joe Sanchioni at short, Dawson McMillan at second, and Jake LeBlanc at first. Left to right in the outfield, Zach Sisitsky, Sean Rebello, and Kyle Nocera. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and that's down low.
Wachusett wearing turquoise blue tops with white pants, and for Milford it's the traditional home whites, white pants and white jerseys with the blue ball caps.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. It's sent on the ground to the left side. Deep in the hole as Sanchioni sets his feet. Can he get the throw to first in time? Just not enough time to get the speed of Eddie Beauregard. Sanchioni did everything he could there on the play. Played it on the backhand, sent a throw with as much on it as he could muster to first base, but Beauregard beats it out for the 2-out infield single.
Not much Sanchioni could do that time. That ball was hit very deep in the hole. He was almost standing behind Tyler Monahan when he made that throw. A good strong throw and an accurate throw from Sanchioni. However, the speed from Beauregard was just a little bit too much. Good effort overall by Sanchioni, but just not in time.
That'll give Jake Nadeau, the catcher, a chance. And he swings and misses on a high fastball.
Nadeau was one of the stars in that game against Shrewsbury for Wachusett in the second game of that doubleheader. 2 for 4, 2 doubles, and 3 RBIs.
Beauregard leading off of first as this pitch is bounced foul down the first base line. And Nadeau quickly falling behind against Farrell.
Let's see if Farrell goes back to that outside corner. That's where he's gotten both Fiorelli and Papandrea, the 2 back-to-back strikeouts to start this top of the first inning.
0-2 with 2 outs in the inning. Farrell to the set. And the pitch is swung on and missed. He goes up top out of the strike zone with a fastball, and Nadeau chases it. And in the end, Michael Farrell strikes out the side in the top of the first inning. A good start for the right-hander. And now the Milford Post 59 bats will come to the plate for the first time in this postseason when we come back next here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on My FM 101.3. An infield single for Wachusett in the top of the first, but Michael Farrell striking out the side. A strong start for the third-year Milford veteran. And now it is the Post 59 offense coming to the plate against the right-handed starter for the Wombats, Jonathan Rubin. He will be facing the top third of the Milford order, which tonight is Sean Rebello, Dawson McMillan, and Aiden Wild. And Anthony, for Milford, we saw a lot of games play out there in the final weekend of the season where Milford had already clinched their playoff position, giving Coach DeVito an opportunity to get some of his bench personnel activated out there on the field. So we haven't seen Milford's standard starting lineup out on the field for a number of days now.
Yeah, it's kind of a good thing for Milford getting those players some rest. Obviously, Milford clinching that playoff spot earlier in the season with a couple of games left to play, so Coach DeVito was able to mix and match a few lineup situations, try to see maybe if there was a change that he could make, but he goes back to the original starting lineup, and let's see if the Milford Bats can finally start to put some runs on the board. Obviously, they've been putting up 4, 5, 6, but as I've mentioned in a couple of broadcasts, when you set your standards so high, 12 runs, 13 runs, 14 runs, 6 or 7 runs doesn't look as good. So let's see if this traditional Milford starting lineup can get some runs on the board in a hurry tonight.
The only differences we see from the lineup we saw through most of the season is with Joe Sanchioni down in the number 9 spot, which I believe is still to keep Sanchioni fresh with the still coming back from that knee injury. And Sean Rebello fitting in well in this top spot in the lineup over the last couple of days of the season, so keeping Rebello there with McMillan up to the number 2 spot and Sanchioni number 9. But the rest of the lineup similar to what we saw through the majority of the regular season. And now pitch number 1 in from Jonathan Rubin misses outside for a ball. And now 2-0 as that one bounces in the dirt and kicks to the backstop.
As for Jonathan Rubin, the last time he pitched for Wachusett was the second to last game of the season for Wachusett. Against Cherry Valley, he went 6 innings in that game, did not allow a run. That was a 6-3 win for the Wombats.
And now up high, and Sean Rebello in the driver's seat in this opening at bat at the bottom of the first. 3 balls and no strikes. And the next pitch, Rebello taking all the way. He takes a called strike. And Rubin now ready with the 3-1. And it's a bouncer back up the middle, moving over towards the second base bag is Felicio, the shortstop. His throw pulls Liam Griffin off the first base bag, but he was able to swipe the tag down on Rebello just prior to the foot coming down on first base. So in the end, Wachusett able to get the out. It'll go 6-3 to open the inning.
It looked good on the beginning part of that play for Felicio, fielding that ball ranging to his left, almost behind the second base bag when he made the throw. But not an accurate throw over to the first baseman Griffin, but an athletic play to be able to come off the bag and then sweep the tag around to get the speedy Rebello.
That brings up Dawson McMillan, who takes the first pitch for a called strike 1. Dawson hitting over 300 for the regular season. Really came on strong through the second half of the year, started to find his comfort zone in his first year in a Milford uniform. And now the count evens at a ball and a strike.
McMillan certainly boosted his on-base percentage in the last game for Milford. That was against Eastside. Did not record a plate appearance because he walked 3 times.
Now a 2-ball, 1-strike count. McMillan batting .311 through the regular season. Scored 22 runs, so getting on base and scoring with frequency. Batted in the number 9 spot through the majority of the year, but moved up to this top of the lineup late. Now battling with an even count of 2 balls and 2 strikes as Rubin fires to the plate and misses up and away. And that fills the count to McMillan with Aiden Wild waiting on deck.
The offense has never been in question this season for McMillan. It's been on the other side of the ball with his defense.
Here's the payoff pitch now. It's hit on the ground towards second, ranging in is Fiorelli. He has it. Easy throw to first. And a couple of ground outs bring the first 2 outs in the Milford half of the first.
Well, so far both pitchers have been effective through at least the first 2 batters of this game. For Michael Farrell, it was 2 strikeouts to open up the ball game, and now for Jonathan Rubin, it's 2 ground outs. So doesn't matter how you get it done as long as you record the outs, and so far both pitchers have been successful here in this first inning.
So now Aiden Wild digs in on the right side. Here's the first pitch of his at bat. It misses outside and low for ball 1. Wild missed the final game of the regular season as he was being honored at the Metro West Sports Banquet, honored as the Baseball Player of the Year. And now swings at the 1-0 pitch and flies it out to right field. In a few steps, his bent post settles underneath, and he makes the catch. And it is an easy 1-2-3 inning for Jonathan Rubin. So we see just 1 total base runner through the first inning of play. No runs allowed on either side. So we'll head to the top half of the second inning next, still scoreless in this Zone 4 playoff matchup between Milford and Wachusett right here on MyFM 101.3. Set to begin now the top half of the second inning as Michael Farrell is quickly ready with his first pitch, and it's fouled away off to the left by the number 5 hitter in this Wachusett lineup, the first baseman Liam Griffin. He'll be followed by the pitcher Jonathan Rubin and the center fielder Nick Yanko. And a brief pause in the action. Michael Farrell scanning the field before perching back atop the pitching rubber. Now he's ready with his 0-1 pitch. That misses high. One ball and 1 strike to Griffin. And the next pitch is hit back up the middle. It's going to take a rangy play from McMillan. He slides and is able to keep it on the infield with a backhanded stab, but no chance to make a throw to first base. And we'll see another infield single for Wachusett, this time to open up the second.
And that's an impressive play that time by Dawson McMillan. Even though he wasn't able to record an out, just to get to that ball on the backhand, going to his right side, it was a full sprint for the Milford second baseman to even get to that ball, a sliding play to stop it, and then elected not to throw to first base. Probably a good decision. He didn't get a good grip on the ball originally and didn't want to make a bad throw.
And now a called strike one fired into Jonathan Rubin, pitcher versus pitcher here in this at-bat.
And Rubin's not just a pitcher. He can swing the bat a little bit too. 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI in that second game of the doubleheader against Shrewsbury, Wachusett's last game.
And of course, that had to have been a momentum booster and a confidence booster for Wachusett, earning that late season victory against Shrewsbury, one of just 3 losses suffered by Post 397 on the regular season. Here's the 1-1 pitch now, and it's hit hard but foul down the third base line, and the count goes to 1-2.
And it certainly gave them some momentum going in to the Zone 4 playoffs. Obviously, they had to wait to start these Zone 4 playoffs, but they clinched, as in Wachusett, I should say, clinched a playoff berth on July 8th, and then they split that doubleheader with Shrewsbury on July 9th. So anytime you can win a game against Shrewsbury, you're doing something right.
Farrell ready now with his 1-2 pitch, and that one misses outside. Rubin thought about it, but did not chase. The last time these two teams met up head-to-head was back on June 24th. It went down in the books as a home game for Wachusett, but it was played over at Hanover Insurance Park on the campus of Holy Cross. Milford with a 15-4 Mercy Rule win in that game. The runner takes off from first as this ball is hit in the air out to center field, sending Sean Rebello over a few steps towards right, but he makes the catch. And Griffin retreats to the first base bag now with 1 down.
Little hit and run action that time from the Wombats. Unfortunately, that ball was hit in the air and forcing Liam Griffin to trot back to first base. Jonathan Rubin becomes the first out of the inning.
And so that will bring up Nick Yanko, the number 7 hitter, in on the left side versus the righty, Michael Farrell, who pitches out of the stretch with the runner at first and deals one in outside to start Yanko off 1-0. Farrell back to the set, and his 1-0 pitch. That one closer to the outside part of the plate, but ruled ball 2.
Farrell really slowing his tempo down with a runner on first base. That's Liam Griffin. But you can see him taking his time, checking the runner on first base, changing up his speed on the mound to keep that runner on first base in check.
Farrell ready now with the 2-0, and it's slapped on the ground towards second. McMillan waits for it, throws to second to get the out there. Sanchioni will hold on to it. That took a little while to get to McMillan, a slower bounding ball towards second. Milford able to effectively cut down the lead runner, and Yanko ends up safe at first on the fielder's choice with now 2 outs.
Once McMillan backed off that ball and let it come to him, there was no chance they were going to turn 2. He did a good job of getting the force out at second base to ensure that Milford at least got 1 out. But if he had charged that ball a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 steps in, and then thrown to Sanchioni at second, they might have had a chance to turn 2.
Now a snap throw from Reynolds down to first base after the pitch from Farrell. But Yanko able to get back to the bag standing. Ball 1 sent in to Matt Felicio, the shortstop and number 8 hitter. Just received a final score update from the Framingham-Northbridge game. We'll share that with you in a moment. A close, well-pitched, low-scoring game. But Northbridge able to score the upset over Framingham. They win 2-1. The game ends on a double play ball. So Framingham, the 4 seed, loses to Northbridge, the 5 seed. And so that leaves just this game here between Milford and Wachusett to determine where everyone will play and what the matchups will be for tomorrow. We can tell you that over in bracket A, that means that Northbridge and Shrewsbury will play on the winner's side, with Framingham hosting North County in the losers portion of the bracket for bracket A. Now a 1-2 pitch into Felicio. It's skied foul off to the right and out of play. So a pretty quick game, of course. Offense at a premium over in Framingham. That game only taking about an hour and 45 minutes to complete. So this is the only Zone 4 playoff game left to be played here tonight. As Farrell readies for another 1-2 pitch into Felicio, he chases it. The ball briefly gets away from Alex Reynolds. He takes it midway down the first base line before ushering the throw over to Jake LeBlanc for the out that ends the inning. So there's another strikeout in the books for Michael Farrell. He's now K'd 4 through the first 2 innings. And we'll head to the home half of the second inning next. It is still scoreless between Milford and Wachusett. Tim Coet and Anthony Mazzini here on the call for MyFM 101.3, bringing you the opening playoff matchup for Milford Post 59 as they take on Wachusett Post 42. And Milford will now send batters 4, 5, and 6 to the plate against Jonathan Rubin. And ball 1 sent in high to Tyler Monahan. And Monahan now goes to the opposite field, puts a charge into this ball out into right. Getting turned around was Ben Post. It gets over his glove, rolls deep out into right field underneath the old red press box out there for the football portion of the field. And it looks like that will end up going as a ground rule double. Of course, you have the goal posts and the press box out there. I think that's the first time we've seen that one. It rolled underneath the stairs to that red press box, and so they will rule it as a ground rule double for Monahan.
And that's an unfortunate scenario for Tyler Monahan. He's not the fastest base runner in the base paths, but he would have had at least 3 bases. That ball was crushed out to right field. Ben Post got turned around a little bit. Didn't look like he got it good vision on it right off the bat. And that ball rolled underneath the stairs leading up to the press box. Tyler Monahan was cheated of at least a triple. I doubt he was going to be able to score an inside the park home run, but he has to stand at second base after Ben Post just raised his hand and said I couldn't get it once it got under the stairs.
So the leadoff runner in scoring position for Milford, and now Alex Reynolds taking his first playoff at bat in a Post 59 uniform, fouls one up out of play over the backstop. So Tyler Monahan, who led the team in extra base hits through the regular season, gets an extra base hit here in his first playoff at bat of 2017. Leads off of second base now. And Jonathan Rubin to the set. Here's his 0-1 pitch. And that hits on the outside part of the plate for a called strike 2.
The outside corner has been a good pitch for both sides so far. First, Michael Farrell picking up a couple of strikeouts in the top half of the first couple of innings, and now Jonathan Rubin picking that spot now.
Here's the 0-2, and that's in for a called strike 3. No argument from Reynolds. And an impressive sequence for Jonathan Rubin to get his first strikeout.
Looked like a big looping breaking ball that time. A 12-6 curveball from Rubin. Started out at about the shoulders of Alex Reynolds and then dropped back into about the belt area and just caught the Milford catcher looking for the first out of the inning, the first strikeout for Jonathan Rubin.
That brings Kyle Nocera to the plate. Nocera swings away at that first fastball, but it was late for strike 1. Monahan out to a lead at second base. As Rubin comes to the plate, that one misses outside and low, evening the count at 1.
Nocera has been very impressive with the bat this season. Of course, earlier in the season, rattled off an 8-for-8 series.
When Nocera gets hot with the bat, he gets very hot. Milford certainly hoping to see another one of those good stretches with the bat for Nocera. Kyle telling me prior to Milford's game against Eastside that he did not swing a bat at all during his college season this year up at Fitchburg State. But getting into a good groove here in the Legion uniform as the 2-1 pitch misses low.
Nocera finished off the regular season well. 1 for 3 in the game against Eastside. Back on the 11th, he did record 2 RBIs in that game as well. About to see a 3-1 pitch. Here it is, and that misses high for ball 4. So Nocera works the walk. That's the first free pass issued by Rubin.
And so now 2 on with 1 out for Zach Sisitsky. Sisitsky, despite seeing some uneven time in the batter's box late in the season, utilized more as a pitcher. He was able to drive in 3 runs in Milford's win against Eastside, a 4-hit game for Sisitsky with 3 RBIs.
Just goes to show the type of depth that Milford has on that bench. Even when they mismatch a lineup, getting some players some rest at the end of the season, Coach DeVito has some players he can call on to produce.
Big swing and a miss from Sisitsky, evens the count at 1-1. So what an impressive end to the regular season it was for Zach, flirting with a no-hitter in Milford's game against Grafton Hill last Sunday, and then coming back on Monday and going 4 for 4 at the plate. Here he dribbles one on the ground to shortstop. They look towards second, now fire to first, and no out anywhere as everyone is safe, and the bases are loaded now for Milford. And a critical moment of indecision for Mike Fiorelli at second base. That ball was not hard hit. Really no chance for him to cut down that lead runner at second base. His best bet would have been to go right to first. Instead, took that look to second, and that allowed Sisitsky to beat the throw to first for an infield hit.
Nocera's not the fastest runner between first and second. That's probably why Fiorelli even took a glance at second base. However, that ball was hit so softly on the infield that he didn't have a chance. You're right, that he should have gone to first.
And now a double play ball off the bat of LeBlanc. They throw to second for the out there, and the relay to first is in time. Jake LeBlanc, first pitch swinging, bounces into a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. And just as quickly as the rally started, it comes to a screeching halt. The base is loaded with 1 out, and Milford cannot score. We're through 2 innings now from Fino Field scoreless in this playoff matchup between Milford and Wachusett here on MyFM 101.3. Milford loading the bases in that bottom half of the second inning, but unable to capitalize, with Jake LeBlanc hitting into an inning-ending double play. So Farrell right back to the mound, facing batters 9, 1, and 2. Ben Post to lead it off. And now the 1-0 pitch. That's in for a called strike. So you talked about both of these teams maybe feeling a little bit antsy, Anthony. Certainly a case of that with Jake LeBlanc swinging at that first pitch, grounding into the twin killing.
Yeah, when you don't have a number of at-bats in a few days, you get anxious. That first pitch right over the plate, you see, it looks the best of the at-bat. However, if he had waited for a pitch or two later in the at-bat, he might have gotten a better pitch to hit, and unfortunately hit a top-spin ground ball to the second baseman, Fiorelli. He flipped it to Felicio, over to first to Griffin, and that was it, the 4-6-3 double play to get out of the inning.
It's a 2-ball, 2-strike count now on Ben Post, the right fielder batting out of the number 9 spot. Michael Farrell into the windup. Here is the pitch, and that's in for a called strike 3. It's the second batter he's caught looking through these first 3 innings, and that already now is strikeout number 5.
It's so far been a very impressive outing for Michael Farrell. We talked about in the open how he struggled a little bit this season, even with the ERA around 3.4. The numbers haven't been what Michael Farrell was hoping for this season, but now 5 strikeouts in 2 1/3 innings pitched, so he's off to a very good start.
And now about to go second time through the Wachusett order, Artie Papandrea looking at a first pitch strike. He struck out looking to open the ball game. And now the pitch. This is hit in the air out to right field, down for a base hit. Scooting down the line, and now Nocera with a bobble. Papandrea thinking about it, but he holds at first base with a 1-out single.
Nocera in right field tried to barehand that ball once it got to him. The ball rolling towards the right field line. Not too far hit that time, just barely got over the head of Jake LeBlanc at first base. But Papandrea thought about going to second once the bobble out in right field with Nocera going to the barehand. But unfortunately for Papandrea, the ball didn't get far enough away from Nocera, so he's still at first base with 1 out.
The first hit for Wachusett that has gone beyond the infield dirt. An infield hit in the first, 1 to lead off the second, but now a line drive base hit with 1 out for Artie Papandrea. He's at first base ahead of Mike Fiorelli, who looks at a called strike 1. And really a good sign here from Farrell early on. He's been consistently getting that first pitch strike.
That's part of it. He doesn't have to work from behind. He's also hitting his spots very well right now, especially on those 0-2 counts. 0-2, 1-2 counts. He's hitting the corners very well, getting a couple pitches on the black.
Hesitation here with that runner at first. Now he comes to the plate, and this is a ground ball hit back up the middle. Sanchioni ranges to get it, taps the second base bag, but uncorks a very high throw to first. It hits hard off the chain link and takes a good bounce back to the catcher, Alex Reynolds, that holds Fiorelli at first base. There was a lot of traffic around the second base bag. Dawson McMillan was going to cover. Sanchioni ultimately deciding to take it to the bag himself, and that might have complicated things a little unnecessarily, Anthony.
Yeah, Sanchioni may have been better off if he actually flipped to Dawson McMillan. Although the ball was taking him up the middle, he was behind the second base bag, so once he fielded that ball, he did a very good job of fielding the ball. He had to then stop himself, then run back towards the second base bag, and then make the throw. Combine that with Dawson McMillan standing there expecting the flip, probably would have been better off flipping to McMillan, who then would have thrown to first. But overall, good play.
And now a hard shot off the bat of Eddie Beauregard out to the gap in left center field, down for a hit. Fiorelli quickly goes first to third. And so a big play for Milford as they were able to get that lead runner on the previous play. Beauregard all over that first pitch from Farrell. That's the second hit in the inning, and now runners at the corners with 2 outs, and the cleanup hitter Jake Nadeau next to the plate.
And just rewinding back to that last play, very underrated what Alex Reynolds did, backing up that throw to first base. That allowed, that didn't allow the runner Fiorelli to then advance to second base. If he were allowed to advance to second base, it would be 1-0 Wombats after that ball was hit to the gap by Beauregard.
Instead, runners at the corners, Nadeau at the plate. He struck out to conclude the first and takes the first pitch just outside for ball 1.
A lot of times it's the little things that don't show up in the box score that really prove to be the crucial parts of the game, and Alex Reynolds with good awareness, good baseball IQ, backing up the throw to first base. Michael Farrell still has to work his way out of this, but instead of a run on the board, it's now first and third.
And now a swing and a miss. Good hard fastball darting down to the bottom of the strike zone. Count evens at 1-1. Nadeau digs back in on the right side. The runner takes off from first. The pitch misses up and away. And a hard bluff throw from Alex Reynolds trying to get that runner to come down the third base line. He holds, and Beauregard safe at second with the steal. And that puts 2 in scoring position now for Wachusett. So Milford with a bases loaded opportunity in the bottom of the second. Wachusett now with runners at second and third. And now the 2-1 pitch to Nadeau misses outside. And it's a 3-ball, 1-strike count. With first base open, you have to think Farrell's going to take a conservative approach here with Nadeau. Possibly take his chances with Liam Griffin on deck. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And that's in for a called strike, just barely grabbing that bottom outside corner.
Again, one of those pitches that Michael Farrell has been getting. Maybe just a little bit off the outside part of the plate, but so far it's been a generous call from the home plate umpire. And a big pitch, not allowing Nadeau, to walk to first base.
Sets up a 3-2 coming up. Here it is, and it is swung on and missed for strike 3. So Farrell getting into a bit of a jam with that hard hit ball by Eddie Beauregard, but he comes back to get strikeout number 6 on the day. And no runs allowed in that top of the third inning for Milford. We head on to the bottom of inning number 3. It is still 0-0 on the scoreboard between Milford and Wachusett here on MyFM 101.3. It's a busy weekend for Legion baseball coming up this weekend with the playoffs in full swing. And it's also a busy weekend for the Boston Red Sox as they now resume action post-All-Star break, getting the unofficial second half of their season started, and a big series to open up this second half. A 4-game set over the weekend against the Yankees. Game 1 underway as we speak. It is scoreless right now, but the Red Sox are threatening in the bottom half of the first with 2 in scoring position and 2 outs. The Red Sox starting Drew Pomerantz coming out of the gate here in the second half. And so interesting to point out with all of the Legion and Red Sox action crisscrossing paths over the course of this weekend. We will unfortunately have some blackouts on our live feed on our mobile app So as you're out and about this weekend, make sure you bring the radio with you. If you have a little transistor, maybe you can dig the Walkman out of mothballs. Be able to listen to us here on My FM 101.3 over the course of the weekend, as we should have plenty of Legion coverage for you. Joe Sanchioni, meanwhile, leading off the bottom half of the third. A 1-ball, no strike count. The pitch from Rubin is high, goes to the backstop. Were Walkmans past your time, Anthony?
What's a Walkman?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I've heard of it. I shouldn't, I don't want to sound like I'm dating myself here, but no, I don't think I've ever had a Walkman.
2-0 pitch, and that misses. And very good plate discipline out of Joe Sanchioni. We saw it all season long. One of the team leaders in walks. He has 16 on the year. 3-ball, no strike count against Jonathan Rubin, and the next pitch misses high for ball 4. So a quick 4-pitch walk to pace the bottom half of the third.
And that's one advantage of having Joe Sanchioni now slide to the bottom of the order. Even though I'm sure he likes hitting at the top of the order a little bit better, it provides a natural leadoff hitter at the bottom of the order. So Joe Sanchioni batting in the 9th spot. Now he's on first base, and now it goes back to the top of the order. It's almost like a table setter in the 7, 8, 9 spot. Joe Sanchioni batting 9th, now setting the table for the top of the order.
That top of the order featuring Sean Ribello, who grounded out to shortstop his first time up. Takes the first pitch high for ball 1, so that's 5 straight out of the strike zone to open this bottom of the third inning for Jonathan Rubin. Sanchioni a big secondary lead as the pitch comes in on the inside part of the plate for a called strike.
Coach DeVito giving the signs over as the third base coach. You wonder if he's maybe putting on a hit and run.
This ball bounced down the first base line, but foul.
Obviously no hit and run that time, but with a good player like Ribello who gets the ball in play a lot, it's always a possibility, especially because he can hit the ball to the opposite field so effectively.
Ribello down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sanchioni takes off this time as the pitch is down and away. Nadeau having to keep that one from going to the backstop. No chance to send a throw down to second. So Sanchioni with the steal, getting himself into scoring position with nobody out.
Good jump that time from Sanchioni. No chance once the ball was in the dirt. Nadeau had no shot, having to slide over and make that stop.
And now the 2-2 pitch is skied in the air down the right field line, twisting into foul territory. Ben Post on the run, but he cannot get there. Bounces just shy of the spectators that are lined up deep down the right field line for this one tonight.
Pretty strong crowd considering the weather for tonight's game. Obviously no rain, but when you're in the low 60s in the middle of July, number 1, that's a problem. And number 2, a lot of fans usually don't come out and support, but once these Zone 4 playoffs come around, it's all Milford Legion baseball here in Milford.
The temperature making it feel more like an early season high school game, not a Legion playoff game, as the 2-2 pitch misses up and away to Ribello.
I'm just glad I went to Maine when I did. I got my tan on. Haven't seen the sun in 4 days. Good thing I didn't wait around here.
Not good sunbathing weather the last few days here in Massachusetts. The 3-2 pitch into Ribello. He hits it in the air out to center. Yanko ranges over a little bit towards left, and he makes the catch. And so Ribello is out number 1 of the inning.
Yanko playing a little bit shallow in center field. I don't think that ball was going to drop, but it would have been a much tougher play if Yanko were playing 2 or 3 steps back. Ribello put a pretty good charge into it, a sinking line drive, but Yanko, playing as shallow as he is, was able to make the play easily for the first out.
Sanchioni remains at second base now for Dawson McMillan. Expecting a bunt at third base, and McMillan on cue. Squares to bunt, ends up popping it over the backstop and out of play. Eddie Beauregard was positioned well. He was tight on the lip of the grass at third.
As a lefty, McMillan would be better off dragging this bunt down the first base line. But at the same time, he could push it down the third base line, forcing the third baseman Beauregard off the bag, allowing Sanchioni to get to third.
Here's the 0-1. McMillan not showing bunt that time as he takes a called strike 2. That allows Beauregard to back up on the dirt just behind the third base bag. Shortstop creeping in behind Sanchioni, who leads at second base. Here's the 0-2, and that misses outside. Nadeau tried to frame it, tried pulling it back to that outside corner, but the home plate umpire not biting.
Ruben has been picking his spots on the outside corners so far in this game. That's why I've seen a lot of 3-ball and 2-ball counts, because he's been nitpicking a little bit.
Pitch misses low now, so the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes to McMillan. Dawson grounded out to second base in his first playoff at bat. The lefty ready in the box. The righty ready on the mound. Here's the pitch, and it's sent foul to the backstop.
Good hack that time from McMillan, wanting to take that pitch to the opposite field, and he just missed it, fouling it back to the backstop.
Still a 2-ball, 2-strike count. McMillan working up that pitch count for Ruben. Ruben bending far over to get that sign from his catcher. Now fires to the plate, and McMillan just able to get a piece, fouling it off in the direction of Aiden Wild in the on-deck area for Milford.
And that's a good swing that time from Dawson McMillan. Didn't get a lot of the baseball, but was able to foul it back. Almost looked like a cutter that time out of the hand of Ruben. Started going in on the hands of the Milford second baseman, so Dawson doing a good job of fouling that pitch off.
Another 2-2 pitch, and a bouncer towards the right side, stabbed by Fiorelli. He'll flip to first to get the out there. But with that ground ball hit slowly to the right side, no problem for Sanchioni to advance to third. He's there now with 2 down, and an RBI opportunity for Aiden Wild.
That ball took an odd bounce on Fiorelli. It was at his waist, and then it hit a kink in the dirt, and it bounced all the way, barely got off the ground. Fiorelli had to send his glove from his torso all the way down to the ground, but he made it look easy, firing onto the first baseman, Griffin, for the second out of the inning. Good play by the Wombats second baseman.
Aiden Wild now about to see a pitch. It bounces in low, trickles away from the catcher Nadeau, but not far enough for Sanchioni to try it. Aiden 0 for 1. He flew out to right field his last time up. Wild ready now to see the 1-0. And that's on the inside part of the plate for a called strike. The last time we saw Aiden Wild in the Milford lineup was back on July 10th against Grafton Hill. Wild going 3 for 3 with a single, a double, a triple, and 2 runs batted in. Now watches that pitch bounce in outside. Ahead now 2-1. Aiden Wild also with a 2-run inside the park home run here at Fino Field in Milford's loss to Leominster last weekend. The 2-1 pitch, high for ball 3. Aiden ended up just eclipsing Tyler Monahan to take over the batting average lead right at the end of the season on the team. And this time he will work the walk as ball 4 misses low. Ruben not wanting to groove a pitch to Wild in that situation, so instead Wild takes the 2-out walk. Runners at the corners now for Monahan.
And right on cue, Tyler Monahan striding to the plate now. Finished second in the team in batting average this season. However, Aiden Wild did play in 1 less game, missing the last game of the season. But Tyler Monahan in a big spot right now. 2 outs in this bottom of the 3rd inning. Milford has runners at first and third. A ball to the gap right now with Aiden Wild's speed. Could score 2.
And first a pickoff check over at first. Wild able to get back to the bag. Of course, the last time Monahan came to the plate, ended up with a ground rule double. Ball that rolled all the way out towards the old football press box at the edge of right field. And the first pitch now to Monahan drops in for a called strike 1.
Aiden Wild with a very big secondary lead at first base, almost a third of the way between first and second, anticipating a ball in the gap, getting as far down the line as he can.
Ruben trying to keep Wild close at first base as he sends another pickoff throw over there. Tyler Monahan going with no batting gloves here tonight. The 0-1 pitch. It's in for a called strike. Tyler actually losing the batting gloves when the team traveled to Grafton Hill back on Monday. And so rather than pick up a new set, he's opted to go glove-free for these at-bats here today as the pitch misses high. Aiden Wild taking second base, and he will do so without a throw. And that will set up two in scoring position with 2 outs now for Milford. It's the second stolen base of the inning. And now the 1-2 into Monahan is just fouled off. Monahan just barely able to get a piece. The catcher couldn't hang on to it.
Good pitch that time from Ruben. Might have been a breaking ball starting at the knees of Tyler Monahan and then going into the dirt. And Monahan doing everything he can to just get a piece of that pitch, giving himself another life.
Here's another 1-2, and that bounces in the dirt, gets away again from the catcher. Rolled between the legs of the umpire to the edge of the dirt around home plate, but again, just not far enough for Sanchioni to try and score. Milford squandered a bases-loaded chance in the second. Now runners at second and third with 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Their big slugger, Tyler Monahan, at the plate. Here's a 2-2 pitch, and that misses high. A walk would load the bases for Alex Reynolds.
If I'm Tyler Monahan right now, I'm not happy with a walk. I want a pitch that I can hit. One of the best hitters on this Milford team, 2 runners in scoring position.
Here is the payoff pitch, and that comes in and hits Monahan. So Ruben trying to bury that pitch on the inside part of the plate, instead sent it off the hip of Tyler Monahan, so he takes first on the hit by pitch, and they are loaded up for the Milford catcher, Alex Reynolds.
Good idea from Ruben that time. Tried to jam Tyler Monahan on the inside corner rather than let his hands get extended, but ran a little bit too far inside, clipping Monahan, allowing him to walk to first base. He's been hit a lot this season, but now it'll leave the inning up to Alex Reynolds.
And Reynolds takes the first pitch for ball 1. Alex struck out looking, and a quick at bat in the second. And now Jake Nadeau, the catcher, out to have a conversation with his starting pitcher for the second straight inning. Ruben having to battle through a bases-loaded jam. Mentioned the hit by pitches for Tyler Monahan. That's now the 9th time he's been hit. And that tandem of Wild and Monahan now with 19 hit by pitches through 2017.
A lot of ice.
Ready with a 1-0 pitch now, missing high again. 2 balls and no strikes to Reynolds, who now can start to narrow down that strike zone a bit. Reynolds an excellent regular season offensively, and now lets that pitch go up and in for ball 3. And now Ruben in a bind. A 3-0 count to Reynolds, nowhere to put him on the bases.
And the body language from Ruben right now is not encouraging.
Here is his 3-0 pitch, and that's in for a strike.
Ruben looking a bit flustered on the mound right now, taking a big, deep breath.
Many of these Wachusett players playing in their first Legion playoff game. And Ruben ready now with a 3-1 delivery. Reynolds sends it in the air out to left field, but it's playable for Artie Papandrea. He settles underneath to make the catch. And once again, the starter for Wachusett able to dance out of danger for the second straight inning. Milford loads them up, but they cannot score. So after 3 full innings from Fino Field, it remains 0-0 between Milford and Wachusett on this playoff coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on MyFM 101.3. Milford has accommodated 5 runners on the base path so far through the first 3 innings, but they have not brought any of them home. So it stays scoreless here as we move on to inning number 4. And Liam Griffin with a big hack on the opening pitch of the frame, but comes up empty. And nothing in 1 count as Michael Farrell goes back to work. A little bit of a wait in between innings, but still battling through a scoreless game.
Neither side right now is doing a good job with runners on base. The Wombats have left 4 runners on base, while Milford, after that last inning, leaving 3 runners on base, have now stranded 5.
Here's an 0-2 pitch, and off the end of the bat, Griffin able to foul it off. Liam Griffin got the start when these two teams played at Holy Cross back on June 24th, pitched 4 2/3 innings, and got roughed up, ended up allowing 12 runs on 13 hits and walked 5 batters. Here's the 0-2 hit on the ground to shortstop. Sanchioni able to scoop it up, and a good throw to first base. And the inning starts with a 6-3 ground out as Griffin is retired.
That knee for Sanchioni looks pretty good, pretty healthy over there for the Milford shortstop. He's made a couple of rangy plays so far in this ball game, and he's handled them all very well, with the exception that one throw that he sailed over the first baseman LeBlanc. However, it didn't end up coming back to bite Milford, so he's looked very good.
And now a tapper sent foul over towards the Wachusett on deck area off the bat of Jonathan Rubin. Rubin and Farrell, the 2 starting pitchers in this game, each with scoreless games going so far. Milford has had the better of the scoring chances despite having only 2 hits to show for their efforts. Bases loaded chances in the 2nd and 3rd, but Rubin able to induce an inning-ending double play in the 2nd, and then a fly out with the bases loaded in the 3rd. But here quickly goes down swinging, a 3-pitch strikeout. And it's up to 7 now in the strikeout column for Michael Farrell. And just really exuding confidence on the mound right now is Michael Farrell.
Just utter domination right now. Rubin did not look comfortable that entire at bat. Michael Farrell went upstairs at the eye level to strike out Rubin that time.
And now a first pitch strike on the outside part of the plate to the lefty batter, Nick Yanko.
And Farrell is just oozing confidence right now. That pitch is basically unhittable on the outside half.
Back into his windup, the 0-1 pitch. That darts down and in. This is much more reminiscent of the Michael Farrell we saw throughout the 2016 season. Michael Farrell walking just 4 batters for the year during that 2016 season. Was a real asset to Milford's rotation. Was again this season. The command at times wavered a bit for Farrell, but it has been razor sharp throughout this ball game so far. Now jumps ahead of Yanko 1-2. And right back onto the pitching rubber, looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Here's the windup and the 1-2 pitch, and it's hit hard on the ground to first base, in and out of the glove of LeBlanc, but he's still able to take it to the first base bag unassisted for the out that ends the inning. So there it is, a very quick and easy 1-2-3 inning for Michael Farrell in the top half of the 4th. On to the bottom half we go. Still waiting for our first run in this playoff matchup between Milford Post 59 and Wachusett Post 42 on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball here on MyFM 101.3. Who will break the scoreless tie? Post 59 hopes it will be them as they come to the plate in the home half of the 4th, sending Kyle Nocera, Zach Sisitsky, and Jake LeBlanc to the plate against Jonathan Rubin. It hasn't always been pretty for Rubin through these first 3 innings on the mound, but he's made the key pitches when he's needed to. He's allowed 2 hits. He has walked 3. But his defense has made the plays behind him, and in the end, no runs in either column so far in this one. A 1-ball, no strike count on Nocera, who walked in his first plate appearance, and now takes a called strike on the inner part of the plate.
For Rubin so far, it hasn't been the hits, as you mentioned, Tim, only 2 in 3 innings of work. It's been the walks, walked 3 and 1 hit by one-hit batsman.
The 1-1 pitch just barely grazes the outside part of the plate for a called strike 2.
And as I was mentioning earlier, he seems to be nitpicking a little bit on the outside corners, so that's driven up his pitch count and forced him into a lot of 3-ball counts.
The 1-2 bounces in front of the plate, then takes a high arcing bounce off towards the backstop. And that will even the count for Nocera at 2-2.
But overall, Ruben has done a good job of avoiding the Milford bats.
Here's his 2-2 pitch. It misses high. Nocera with 16 hits in the regular season, a pair of doubles, had 6 runs batted in, 15 runs scored. About to see a 3-2 pitch, and that hits him. So there's the second hit batter of this game, and that one getting Nocera maybe off the tricep. You hope it didn't get him off of that left elbow, which of course is very important as Nocera hopes to be a factor on the mound for Milford during this postseason run.
He's been very effective with the bat. The pitching hasn't been what he had hoped for this season. Was called upon in that game against Eastside. He did allow 3 earned runs in only an innings pitched.
Sasitsky a wave and a miss. Starts off down in the count, 0-1. Whole new set of mechanics for Kyle Nocera as he tries to take some of the excess pressure off of that elbow, which has given him trouble over these last 2 seasons during the Legion season. It's a quick 0-2 count on Zach Sasitsky, who reached on an infield single his first time up. And now hits this one softly on the ground towards second base. The only play for Fiorelli is at first. He gets the throw there in time to retire Sasitsky, but it does move Nocera along into scoring position with 1 out.
The ball being hit to the left of Fiorelli. He had no chance at second base to try to cut down Nocera. Went the easy way to first base, flipped it on to his first baseman, Liam Griffin, for the first out. No chance they were going to be able to turn 2 that time. And it looks like there's some action down in the Milford bullpen.
Alex Confride starting to do a little throwing. As the first pitch into Jake LeBlanc misses high for ball 1. LeBlanc came to the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out in the bottom of the second inning, but sent the first pitch right to Fiorelli at second, who touched off a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. Big reason why this game is still scoreless right now, as LeBlanc backs off on that inside pitch. Jumps ahead in the count 2-0, and for the first time tonight, we'll see the head coach of Wachusett Post 42, Chuck Tidman, head out for a mound visit.
No action down the Wachusett side in the bullpen, so it's only Alex Confride for Milford right now warming up, even with this mound visit for Coach Tidman to check on his pitcher Ruben.
And certainly the pitch count in good shape for Michael Farrell through 4 innings, and he has been in a good groove, so Alex Confride maybe just getting a little bit of throwing in as he tries to keep the arm in top shape in case he is needed in either a starting or relief role as these playoffs go on.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's in any rush down the line warming up, so the catcher isn't even in a squatting position, so that could be the case.
Called strike 1 in now to Jake LeBlanc. 2 balls and a strike. Milford with yet another runner in scoring position. As Anthony mentioned, they've stranded 5 so far. Batter backs out, now right back in on the right side. In tight on the plate is LeBlanc. Here's the pitch, and it's hit on the ground through the vacated hole on the right side of the infield. And around from third base comes Kyle Nocera. He will score without a throw. The throw back in from right is cut off by the first baseman. It's an RBI single for LeBlanc, so he is able to bounce back. And LeBlanc's RBI gives Milford the first run of this playoff game. They lead it 1-0.
And Jake LeBlanc avenging his first at bat, grounding into a 4-6-3 double play to end the second inning that left 2 runners on base. This time with only 1 runner on base. That was Kyle Nocera at second. He sends the ball to the right side of the field. A big hole between the first and second baseman for Wachusett defensively allows Nocera to score easily from second.
A gigantic hole on the right side, and LeBlanc doing a good job sending that ball to the opposite field, sending it through that hole. Rolled slowly out towards bend post and right field, and no problem for Nocera to score. So Milford finally breaks through, taking a 1-0 lead. And Joe Sanchioni at the plate now. He has yet to see a strike in this game. Walked on 4 pitches in his first plate appearance in the 3rd. And now quickly ahead 2-0 against Rubin. Next pitch. And there's a strike. Sanchioni now looks down to the third base coach's box. Coach DeVito issuing a fresh set of signs. A 2-1 pitch, and that's on the outside corner for a called strike 2.
Looks like you jinxed it, Tim. 2 back-to-back strike calls against Sanchioni. And what started off as a 2-0 count, it's battled back to 2-2.
Rubin back to the set. Here's his pitch, and it is waved at and missed. The ball gets away from the catcher, but with first base occupied. Sanchioni goes down, so after jumping ahead in the count, he eventually strikes out. That's the 2nd strikeout of the game for Jonathan Rubin. 2 down now in the Milford 4th as we go 3rd time through the batting order. Sean Ribello up on the right side looking for his first hit so far tonight. A ground out and a fly out. Takes the first pitch from Rubin for a called strike 1. Looks to be some action loosening now over on the Wachusett sideline behind the left field bleachers. A 1-ball, 1-strike count now on Ribello. LeBlanc a short lead off of first. Here's the pitch. It's slapped out towards right field, down for a base hit. LeBlanc hits second base. He'll have to hold there. Not a big lead, didn't get a great jump. And LeBlanc will hold at second base on the single for Sean Ribello. So 2 on now with 2 outs for McMillan.
And even though Jake LeBlanc was off after that ball was hit, with 2 outs, he was off on contact. Not the greatest speed between first and second, electing to stay at second base with the help of Coach DeVito, his third base coach. And that's probably a smart decision with the 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up if Milford can keep this lineup going.
McMillan swings at the first pitch and pops it up out onto the shallow left field grass. Felicio, the shortstop, out there, and he is able to make the catch. And so McMillan on 1 pitch is retired, and that will do it for Milford in the 4th inning. But Post 59 gets a run on 2 hits in the 4th, and so they take a 1-0 lead in this opening round playoff matchup between Milford and Wachusett here on My FM 101.3. If you're just joining us, we've learned of 3 final scores from the other opening round playoff games around Zone 4. Of course, one of those final scores went final 2 days ago. Leominster and Maine South, the only 2 teams that were able to get their playoff game in back on Wednesday. A 7-0 win for Leominster over Maine South. And earlier today, Shrewsbury and North County finishing up a suspended game from Wednesday. Shrewsbury taking an 11-0 lead early in that one, and they ended up winning that one by a final score of 13-0 as Matt Stansky and Pat Shaughnessy teamed up for Shrewsbury's 3rd no-hitter of 2017. And Northbridge also with the upset win 2-1 over Framingham. And so that just leaves this game to go final here on the day before we know our Day 2 playoff matchups. And as we get started here now in the top half of the 5th, Michael Farrell jumping ahead of Matt Felicio, 1-2. And now dots the outside part of the plate, a called strike 3, and there is strikeout number 8 for Michael Farrell. This one opens up the top half of the 5th.
Now, I'm all in favor of pitchers' pitches, but Michael Farrell may have gotten a little bit of a gift that time. That ball looked to be a little bit too far off the outside part of the plate, but that's what happens when you start clipping that outside part of the plate consistently. The home plate umpire will start to give it to you a little bit more and more, and it looks like Michael Farrell did just that time.
Goes right back to that outside part of the plate now as the righty batter Ben Post digs in, the number 9 hitter. A called strike 1. And now a brief pause in the action here as some of the Milford coaches now are looking off towards the crowd out behind the first base dugout, not exactly sure what was drawing their attention, but now back into the dugout and play set to resume.
I heard a dog barking. I don't know.
Not sure if maybe the barking was distracting to the players on the field, but
it was an aggressive bark, but I've never heard of a dog barking stop a baseball game before.
Never know what you're going to see.
No.
Or hear, apparently, as Michael Farrell is unfazed. He deals in a called strike 3 to Ben Post back-to-back. Called strike 3s here to open up the 5th inning. And how about 9 strikeouts now for Michael Farrell?
And a lot of them have been looking, too. That's number 4 looking, including back-to-back strikeouts looking. That goes to show the dominance that Michael Farrell is showing right now.
Now ready to deal with the leadoff hitter, Artie Papandrea. And his first pitch is another generous call on the outside part of the plate for a called strike 1. Farrell in the zone here with 2 outs in the 5th. And now deals in a called strike at the knees of Papandrea. And he's 1 strike away from K-ing the side in order.
Michael Farrell working with a lead now. He's pitching like he's an angry dog.
Back into his windup. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and that one drops in the dirt.
Only 1 strike away now from striking out the side.
Farrell came into this game with 22 strikeouts. Has 9, looking for his 10th here to close out the 5th. Here's the pitch. And again, it bounces in, ricochets away from Alex Reynolds. And that evens the count at 2-2. Bases are empty with 2 outs in the top half of the 5th. Milford now with a slim lead at 1-0. And Farrell with his next delivery. And that misses up and away for ball 3. You could see the umpire was tempted to put the arm up for the strike 3 call, but kept it at his side. As it runs full now to Artie Papandrea, 1 for 2. He singled in the 3rd. Here's the payoff pitch now, and that is in for a called strike 3. Papandrea tossed the bat away as if he had worked the walk, but gets the bad news as Michael Farrell does indeed strike out the side in order. All of them called strikeouts, and now an even 10 Ks on the night so far for Michael Farrell, the Milford starting pitcher, having himself a day. Milford with a 1-0 lead heading to the bottom of the 5th inning in this playoff coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on MyFM 101.3. Utter domination so far by Michael Farrell. 10 strikeouts through the first 5 innings. And the Bellingham High School graduate enjoying a quality performance. 4 hits scattered over those first 5 innings. No runs allowed, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. Really the story of this game so far. Milford grabbing a run in the 4th inning on an RBI single for Jake LeBlanc. So a 1-0 game, a tight one in this opening playoff game for Milford.
I don't think Michael Farrell got the memo that Chris Sale isn't supposed to pitch until tomorrow.
Certainly been every bit as dominant out of Michael Farrell. Aiden Wild, meanwhile, leading off the Milford half of the 5th, taking ball 1 high from Jonathan Rubin. And now a swing and a miss. And the count evens at a ball and a strike.
This would be an inning for Milford to put a crooked number on the board. 3, 4, 5 due up.
The 1-1, that misses low and inside. Wild walked in his last at bat, stole second base to get into scoring position, but was stranded there. Officially 0 for 1 as he takes the 2-1 pitch right down the middle for a called strike.
That's a pitch I'm sure Aiden Wild would like to have back. Right down the heart of the plate that time, just let it go by.
It's now a 2-2 count, and the pitch is waved at and missed. Takes a hop into the glove of the catcher, Jake Nadeau, but he tosses to first to get the out. And Aiden Wild is retired on the strikeout. The strikeout total not nearly as high for Rubin, just 3 in the game. He has been pitching more to contact through his first 4 1/3 innings.
And he hasn't pitched bad at all other than that 1 run. But if you're allowing 1 run over 4+, now 4 1/3 innings pitched, he's doing a very good job being very effective.
Especially facing a Milford offense that scored over 200 runs during the regular season. Holding this Post 59 offense to just a single run through 4 1/3 innings here at home as now Tyler Monahan bounces one through the left side for a base hit. And so Monahan is on now for the 3rd time. A ground rule double in the 2nd. He was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. And now a bounding ball that sneaks through the left side for a 1-out single.
Tyler Monahan with a very good night so far. A very hard hit double back in the 2nd inning. Was hit by a pitch in the 3rd. Now a single here with 1 out in the 5th. He had a very long hitting streak that stretched through most of this season. And now it's looking like he's going to try to start a playoff streak now.
Alex Reynolds now to the plate. The righty 0 for 2 so far. Swings at the first pitch and lofts it in the air out to right field. Ben Post in a few steps. Now it's the second baseman who dives out midway out in right field and is able to make the catch. Mike Fiorelli coming out of nowhere, diving out towards right field, and was somehow able to haul that one in for the out.
Wow. I mean, I don't really have anything else. Wow. That is incredible. And I think I mentioned it a couple broadcasts ago. Right field is very hard to pick up the ball, especially around this time of night. Dusk settling in, the clouds in the sky. Looked like Ben Post didn't have a good read on that ball, and Mike Fiorelli, Superman dive, at least a foot off the ground making that play. What a play.
Highway robbery as Fiorelli traveled a good distance out into right field. You rarely see a second baseman that deep out in right field, but was able to make the catch, and certainly the leading contender now for our Easy Way Car Wash Diamond Play of the game.
Just give it to him.
Monahan takes off for second base, meanwhile, as the pitch is in for a strike. The throw down, short hops the second base bag. Bit of a delayed steal that time from Monahan, effective as he gets himself into scoring position.
You can just give Fiorelli the Diamond Play of the game.
Going to be hard to beat. Got a couple of innings to go, but hard to imagine a better play than that one. Here's the 0-2 now to Kyle Nocera. It's cued off the end of the bat out towards second base. The pitcher late to cover first, but he's able to get there just in time to receive the throw from Fiorelli for the out that ends the inning. And so Fiorelli just doing it all in that frame. A tremendous catch on the outfield grass, and then able to complete that 4-1 ground out that ends the bottom half of the 5th inning. So Milford does not score. 5 innings now in the books here at Fino Field, and it's a tight one. Milford with a 1-0 edge over Wachusett. Michael Farrell back out for the mound for the 6th, and we'll see it next here on MyFM 101.3. Fino Field still buzzing after that absolutely sensational catch from the second baseman for Wachusett, Mike Fiorelli. And wouldn't you know it, the player who makes the dazzling play in the field in the bottom half of the inning comes up to the plate in the top half of the next inning. Mike Fiorelli leading things off here against Michael Farrell in the 6th. And takes a called strike. Back-to-back strikes pumped in from Michael Farrell, who has been a strike-throwing machine through the first 5. And Fiorelli now ready to see that 0-2 pitch. And it's swung on and missed for strike 3. Went after a high fastball and is now the 11th strikeout victim of the game for Farrell.
Well, Fiorelli can do it on the defensive end. However, so far it's been a struggle for him tonight on the offensive end. A strikeout in the 1st, now a strikeout in the 6th. A fielder's choice ground out in between. But still, what a great play by Mike Fiorelli back in the bottom of the 5th inning. I still can't get over it. My jaw's still on the table here.
Farrell now set to deal with Eddie Beauregard, who has made the best contact against Farrell in the game today. It came back in the 3rd. A hard single out to left center field that set up 2 on with 2 out, but Farrell able to get a strikeout of Nadeau to end the inning. And that's the last scoring chance Wachusett has had. They have not had a base runner since Beauregard reached on that 2-out single in the 3rd. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Beauregard. And Farrell's pitch is in for a called strike. The last 4 straight batters have struck out against Farrell, and 5 of the last 6. Contact hard to come by for these Wachusett batters. Beauregard is now down 1-2. And now the pitch. That is up and in.
If you want to go back to the 3rd inning, too, it's 6 of the last 8 batters have struck out. So not too much contact so far, especially in these last 3 innings against Michael Farrell.
Here's his 2-2 pitch, and that drops in for a called strike 3. And there is strikeout number 12.
And that's the best breaking ball we've seen out of Michael Farrell tonight. Just completely buckled Eddie Beauregard, who had been having a good day, 2 for 2 with 2 singles. As you mentioned, Tim, the hardest hit ball was off the bat of Eddie Beauregard. But Michael Farrell made him look silly that time. Just buckling at the knees was the Wachusett first baseman. 5 straight strikeouts.
And now misses high to Jake Nadeau with 2 outs and the base is empty. 22 strikeouts for Farrell for the season coming into this game. He will add at least 12 to that total, as he has 2 outs in the 6th. And now a called strike in to Nadeau, who has struck out twice so far. Every batter in the Wachusett lineup has struck out with the exceptions of Jonathan Rubin and Nick Yanko. The 6 and 7 batters, Nick Yanko, the only batter not to strike out, along with Liam Griffin. Rubin, a strikeout victim in the 4th. So Griffin and Yanko, the only ones that have been able to put the bat on the ball in their at-bats against Farrell so far tonight. A 2-ball, 1-strike count to Nadeau. And now a swing and a miss on a hard fastball. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Can Farrell strike out the side in order for the 2nd straight inning? He is 1 pitch away. Staring into Alex Reynolds for the sign. Now the windup and the 2-2 pitch. It's in for a called strike 3, and that's 6 straight batters set down via the K for Michael Farrell. And the jaws dropping all around Fino Field as Farrell is putting on a show. 13 strikeouts now in the game for the Milford righty. And we will head to the home half of the 6th inning. Milford continues to lead by a score of 1-0 here on your home for Milford Legion Baseball, My FM 101.3. Through the 24-game regular season, Milford starting pitchers had not notched a double-digit strikeout performance. And Michael Farrell certainly picking a good time to rack up the K's 13 strikeouts through the first 6 innings for Farrell. And running out of superlatives to describe the outing from Michael Farrell so far in this game tonight.
Immaculate, spectacular, flawless. I mean, a lot of adjectives you could throw in there to describe Michael Farrell. Only scattering 4 hits in this game so far over his 6 innings pitched, and 13 strikeouts. Are you kidding me? If I had a hat, I would tip it right now. 6 straight strikeouts for the Milford starting pitcher. It doesn't get much better than that. And I mean, you look at these last couple innings between the Fiorelli diving play and now 6 straight strikeouts for Michael Farrell. A lot of good baseball is being played here at Fino Field tonight. And good thing for Milford, Michael Farrell has been very effective because they only have a 1-0 advantage.
This game's still very much in doubt as well as Michael Farrell has pitched. With a 1-0 lead, anything can change. So Milford hoping to grab a little insurance here to give Farrell some breathing room, who will no doubt be back on the mound for the 7th. Zach Sasitsky to lead it off against the Wachusett starter, Jonathan Rubin, who again has also pitched a solid game. He has only allowed a total of 5 hits so far in his outing.
As far as Rubin is concerned, his line doesn't look as spectacular when you factor in those 2 hit batsmen and the 3 walks, but he's only allowed 1 run.
Now a 1-ball, 1-strike pitch, that misses low. Sasitsky, LeBlanc, and Sanchioni, the bottom third of the Milford order, due up. The 2-1 pitch. That's taken on the outside part of the plate for a called strike 2.
A very slow strike called that time by the home plate umpire. And that's a pitch that Farrell's been getting all game, and now Rubin getting it as well.
Here's the 2-2, and that is down in the dirt. Takes a hard bounce to the backstop. And a full count now on Sasitsky, 1 for 2, an infield single and a ground out.
Now different action down in the Milford bullpen. It looks like maybe Tyler Monahan down there.
As Sasitsky sends this one hard through the left side, just past the dive of the third baseman, Eddie Beauregard. And Sasitsky has his second hit of the game, getting on base to lead off this bottom of the 6th.
The Milford left fielder having a very solid but quiet night. Now 2 for 3 in this ball game, singled back in the 2nd inning.
And Coach Tidman back to the mound for Wachusett. We'll see if he takes the baseball here. He does indeed. And so he will lift Jonathan Rubin after 5+ innings. And a round of applause for the Milford fans and the visiting Wachusett fans as Jonathan Rubin pitched a very strong game here for this young Wombats team. Many of them playing in their first playoff game for Legion Baseball and allowing 6 hits through his 5+ innings. Certainly a solid outing. It looks like we're going to see a couple of different defensive changes. There's a lot of moving parts on the field right now for Wachusett, so we'll step away for the pitching change. We'll bring you the new arm for Wachusett when we come back next. A 1-0 lead from Milford, still in the top of the 6th. So several changes to bring you as we continue on now in the bottom half of the 6th inning. First, we'll tell you the new pitcher on for Post 42 is Peter Field. The righty will face Jake LeBlanc with a runner on and nobody out. Ready with his first pitch as LeBlanc pops up the bunt attempt, sends it in fair ground over towards third. They'll send the throw down to second base, and they will cut down the lead runner. That bunt attempt popped high in the air, so Sasitsky had to hold up on the base paths in case Beauregard was able to come in to make the catch. He played it on a bounce, but was ultimately able to cut down the lead runner.
That was a strange play all around. Jake LeBlanc bunting a ball that was right at his face. If he didn't make contact, it would have hit him right in the nose. Popped it up. The third baseman, Beauregard, wasn't able to come in and get it. And then a strong throw to second base to cut down Sasitsky.
And now a called strike into Joe Sanchioni. So the other defensive changes for Wachusett. Jonathan Rubin remains in the game. He is now playing first base. Liam Griffin, who was at first, now moves out to center field, with Nick Yanko moving from center field to right. So Ben Post is now out of the game.
And I would assume that Peter Field would be taking over Ben Post's spot in the batting order, which would be the number 9 spot.
It's a 1-1 count to Sanchioni as the pitch misses low. Sanchioni with a walk and a strikeout for his day so far, batting out of the number 9 spot in the Milford lineup.
And you would have to figure that this pitching change is because of a pitch count, because Jonathan Rubin had been pitching very well in this ball game.
Now a bouncer slowly hit to shortstop, a rangy play for Felicio, but it pops out of his glove, and everyone will be safe. The very tricky play for Felicio as he had to charge in. He was playing deep at short. Had to come in right on the lip of the infield grass to field that ball. Had it in the glove momentarily, but it then slipped out. And everyone's safe, 2 on, with 1 out now for Rebello.
If that goes as an error, it would be a tough error to swallow for Felicio. It's a tough play to make. No chance to get the runner at second. And the speedy Sanchioni would have been a tough play to get him out as well.
And now first pitch swinging, Rebello hits it high in the air, out to right field deep. That is down for a base hit. Yanko has to play it on a hop. They will now stop. Jake LeBlanc at third base took a wide turn, now has to dive back into the bag and just gets back safely. Coach DeVito was waving Jake LeBlanc around initially, but then threw up a late stop sign. LeBlanc had to stop in his tracks and then had to hustle back to the bag and was just barely able to get the hand on before the tag of Beauregard.
None of the Milford runners got a really good read on that ball. That ball fell to the green in the outfield in front of the new right fielder, Nick Yanko. But with only 1 out, they all had to stop with the ball hitting the air. And a late stop sign by Coach DeVito almost got Jake LeBlanc thrown out at third.
Instead, now the base is loaded for Dawson McMillan, who takes a first pitch strike.
And this is a big opportunity for Milford. They've stranded runners in each of the last 4 innings and only holding a 1-run lead.
And now a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Dawson McMillan, who has grounded out to second base twice and also popped out to the shortstop. The 1-1 misses outside, and Nadeau having to lunge for it. Fortunately, the glove on that left hand for Nadeau, he was able to reach far out onto the right side batter's box to keep that ball from going to the backstop. Now a 2-1 pitch. McMillan holds up on the swing, and he will take ball 3.
A lot of important insurance runs out there right now with the bases loaded, and especially the way Michael Farrell is pitching, you don't want to ruin his outing with a fluke.
Here's the 3-1, and McMillan going after it, sent it foul to the backstop. So now the count is full.
The last thing Milford would want to do is spoil Michael Farrell's outing if he were to allow a fluke run or two. So Milford looking to at least get 1 on the board.
Payoff pitch on the way to McMillan, hits it hard back up the middle. It's stabbed by the pitcher. He'll throw to the plate to get the out there. They force out LeBlanc at home. That's the only out Wachusett gets. Hard to double off McMillan with his speed. But a nice play, a reactionary play from Peter Field on the mound as he was able to reach that glove out to his left to make the play, and a throw to the plate in time to cut down a potential run.
A good initial stab that time by Field. If he made a better throw to the catcher Nadeau, they would have had a chance to get the runner McMillan down the first base.
And so now that leaves the inning in the hands of Aiden Wild. Wild batting with the bases loaded and 2 out. Milford leading this game 1-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and that is taken up and in. Wild so far tonight, a fly out to right, a walk, and a strikeout. And with the relief pitcher Peter Field falling behind 2 balls and no strikes, Jonathan Rubin, the former pitcher, now at first base, wandering in to have a couple of words. Another bases loaded opportunity for Milford, their 3rd of the game. This one in on the hands of Wild. It's popped up in foul ground behind first base. And Jonathan Rubin is there to make the catch. And the 3rd opportunity with the bases loaded for Milford, and the 3rd squander. And now 11 runners stranded on the bases tonight for Post 59. So as a result, they will take the slimmest of leads, a 1-0 margin into the top half of the 7th inning. Is that enough? Michael Farrell back on the mound, looking to finish off a gem. We'll have the 7th inning next on My FM 101.3. On to the 7th here at Fino Field. The starting pitcher for Milford, Michael Farrell, back out on the mound, looking for the complete game effort, as he will face batters 5, 6, and 7 in the Wachusett order, which right now is Liam Griffin, Jonathan Rubin, and Nick Yanko. Griffin fouling off the first pitch to start off down 0-1. Farrell trying to finish off an absolutely dominant starting pitching performance. This time does not get the call on a pitch that looked pretty good on the outside part of the plate, but now a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Right back into his windup, and the pitch is swung on and missed.
Michael Farrell has struck out 6 straight batters, 7 of his last 8.
He's ahead here, 1 ball and 2 strikes against Griffin, who has not struck out tonight, but he will do so here, a swing and a miss. And so there is the 7th straight strikeout for Michael Farrell, K number 14 in the game. And for a Milford team that has had some strikeout pitchers in the past, you think back to the likes of J.J. Branch, Dan Avery, Dan Mantoni, Kevin Martinez. This may be the best single-game strikeout performance we've seen in the better part of the last decade for Milford Post 59. 14 strikeouts, and still 2 batters left to get here in the 7th.
And I don't know how far back records go, but I know way back Milford had a lot of good talent come out of Milford Legion baseball, but this is one of the better performances that, you know, even in a major league level, you don't really see this too often. 7 straight strikeouts is getting to be a tongue twister now. 14 on the night. Just a very dominating effort, but he still has 2 outs to get.
He's fallen behind Jonathan Rubin 2-0. Here's the pitch, and that misses low for ball 3.
The only batter that Michael Farrell hasn't struck out tonight is Nick Yanko, who is on deck, so he will have an opportunity.
And with the 3-0 count, Alex Reynolds now will walk out to the pitcher's mound. Those two have not had to have too many meetings in this game. Alex Reynolds just putting down the signs, and Michael Farrell has done the rest. Just some very brief words exchanged. A 3-ball, no strike count. As Ruben now digs back in on the right side, here's the pitch. That is in for a strike. Ruben taking all the way, of course, Wachusett needing a base runner to put the tying run on. Here's the 3-1 pitch, and that misses down and away for ball 4. So there is the first base runner for Wachusett since the 3rd inning. Wachusett getting 2 hits in a potential rally in the 3rd. They did not score. And after 7 straight strikeouts, Michael Farrell now will have to operate from the stretch for the first time in a long time in this game. But he's able to fire in a called strike 1 to Yanko, who reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd and grounded out 3 unassisted in the 4th.
It's almost disappointing to see, to not see, I should say, a strikeout on the scorecard, but 7 straight strikeouts for Michael Farrell, ending, of course, with the walk.
Now his 0-1 pitch to Yanko. This is sent out towards the gap in left center field, down for a hit. It's cut off by Sasitsky, but on the move is Ruben. He's able to go from first to third. They'll now wave him to the plate. The throw from Dawson McMillan is high to the plate, gets away from the catcher, and down to second base goes Yanko. And just like that, this game is tied at 1.
And a couple things about this play. Number 1, excellent job by the third base coach and head coach Chuck Tidman to wave Jonathan Ruben around to score. Knows the arms of these Milford players. Knows that Sanchioni's been struggling a little bit defensively this season. And Sanchioni overthrowing that ball to the catcher, Alex Reynolds, allowing the run to score. Number 2, go back to last inning when Milford had the bases loaded and 1 out. They didn't get a single run. And I said it, they don't want to spoil this outing of Michael Farrell while allowing a fluke hit and a run to score. Now that wasn't a fluke hit that time by Nick Yanko. But exactly to my point, Milford only with a 1-run lead going into this last inning. And now it's a tie game.
So it was Sanchioni sending the high throw to the plate, not McMillan. So it ends up going as an RBI double for Yanko. And now Matt Felicio, first pitch swinging, pops a foul out of play. So Michael Farrell wavering just a bit here, allowing the 1-out walk to Ruben, and then the double to Yanko. And again, the aggressive base running, the aggressive wave in from Coach Tidman, taking the chance, and it pays off. And now a foul ball off the end of the bat to the backstop, and Felicio is down 0-2. He has struck out twice. Coach DeVito coming out for a conversation with Farrell after that RBI double. Trying to calm Farrell back down after such a dominant night, yielding a run here. And as Anthony pointed out, so many scoring opportunities for Milford throughout. From the 2nd inning to the 6th, Milford leaving runners on the base paths. A total of 11 runners stranded in this game for Post 59. A lot of frustration offensively. Wachusett with so few scoring chances, but they're able to maximize it here so far in the 7th to tie it. They have the go-ahead run in scoring position at second. And now another 0-2 pitch to Felicio is popped foul. That will make its way out of play.
And it's that type of aggressive coaching and baseball IQ. Now Chuck Tidman, in his 14th year at the helm of the Wachusett Wombats, entered this season with 170 regular season wins. So he's been around the block a little bit, knows what it takes to win a ball game, and that's very good coaching that time by Chuck Tidman to wave Jonathan Ruben around.
Here's another 0-2 pitch, and it's a bouncer over towards third base, but it kicks foul off towards the third base dugout.
So now to update that record a little bit, if Tidman entered the year with 170 wins, that'll now push him to 182 regular season wins, with Wachusett going 12-12 this season.
Farrell staring down that runner at second base. Now another 0-2, and it's swung on and missed. That pitch up and away, but Felicio chases it down on strikes for the third time in the game. Brings the strikeout total for Farrell to 15. But obviously the urgency now for Farrell is to shut down this inning, preserving the tie, giving Milford a chance to walk it off in the bottom half of the seventh. Yanko is that runner at second base now with the number 9 man at the plate, which is now Peter Field. We saw that defensive shuffling around last inning for Wachusett. After the pitching change, Field was that reliever who was able to come on after Rubin allowed the leadoff single in the bottom of the 6th. Milford ultimately loaded the bases, had a runner thrown out at the plate, did not score, so Field was able to wriggle out of it. It's been so interesting to see the approaches of these two pitching staffs. The two pitchers utilized on the Wachusett side have been in plenty of trouble, but they've been able to work out of it. Farrell has just flat out dominated. But in the end, the scoreboard all knotted up. And now a 1-1 pitch fouled away by Field. He's down 1-2.
And really, Milford could be in a much better position right now. A much more lopsided game if they had even driven in half of the runs they've left on base. 11 runners stranded on the base paths tonight.
It's a 1-2 count with 2 outs and that runner at second base. And Farrell now spins off the back of the pitcher's mound, looking that runner back.
And that includes a couple of situations where the bases were loaded with 1 or no outs, and they didn't get a single run.
Now a little cat and mouse between pitcher and batter. Both have stepped off. And now Field back in the box. Farrell ready with the 1-2. And it's poked foul right off towards the first base dugout. I think that was assistant coach Tim Walsh who was able to stab that one on the way by.
Nice barehanded play that time. I don't know if Coach Chuck Tidman has a scouting report for Tim Walsh.
Farrell again bluffs the throw to second base. Getting a little preoccupied with that potential go-ahead run at second. Yanko bouncing out to a big lead now. Here's the pitch, and it's sent in the air, out to right field. Nocera now into foul ground on a full head of steam, and the ball hits off the fingertips of his glove and falls to the turf. Nocera covering a ton of ground just to have a chance to make a play on that, sliding deep into foul territory. Could have made the catch, but just could not secure it. And it'll stay a 1-2 count, another chance for Ben Post.
He had to run a long way to his left, did Nocera, to even come close to making that play. And once he got over there, he's mad at himself for not making the play. It clanked off his glove, but a good effort in right field.
Peter Field at the plate with that 1-2 count, and a pitch that has been ruled a strike many times over the course of this game, now ruled ball 2. Michael Farrell had taken several steps towards the dugout and now has to retake the pitcher's mound with an even count of 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Dawson McMillan was right behind him walking to the dugout.
Farrell ready with another pitch, and it is swung on and missed for strike 3. So in the end, Michael Farrell is able to strike out the side for the 3rd straight inning. But in between, a walk to Jonathan Rubin and an RBI double for Nick Yanko gives Wachusett their first run of the game, and will head to the bottom of the 7th tied at 1. Milford needs just a single run to move on to the winner's portion of Bracket B. We'll see if they can pull it off in walk-off fashion when we bring you the bottom of the 7th inning next on My FM 101.3. It has been a highly entertaining ball game here tonight at Fino Field. We had to wait 2 days longer than we hoped for to see this baseball game played out, but it has been worth the wait. Milford and Wachusett now tied at 1 after the Wombats were able to grab a run on an RBI double from Nick Yanko. The only blemish on the stat line for Michael Farrell, who completed his 16th strikeout to end the top half of the 7th inning with the go-ahead run at second. So now Milford needs just one to win it. Peter Field, the reliever, back on the mound for Wachusett, facing Tyler Monahan, who takes the first pitch up and in for ball 1.
This game has certainly been worth the price of admission so far. You go back to the Fiorelli diving play out in short right field to the 16 strikeouts for Michael Farrell.
As Monahan will jump ahead 2-0.
Certainly been a game that you either want to watch or listen to.
This game feeling every bit like that Zone 4 final series we saw between these two teams back in 2014 as Monahan fights this one off out into left field, and racing out onto the shallow left center field grass is Matt Felicio, who makes an over-the-shoulder catch to rob Tyler Monahan, and that is out number 1.
And that's another very, very good play by another middle infielder for the Wombats. Matt Felicio didn't have to dive, but an over-the-shoulder catch. He wasn't really even looking at the ball. Full extension that time with his left arm to come out and grab that ball.
Now Reynolds with one out and the base is empty. Takes a look at ball 1. This game has really had everything you'd want in a playoff matchup. Two good starting pitchers. Excellent defense. We have not seen an error committed on either side. As this ball drops in low, kicks between the wickets of Nadeau, goes to the backstop. And Reynolds is ahead 2-0.
The only thing this game hasn't had has been offense.
Now a 2-0 pitch to Alex Reynolds. He swings away, hits it on the ground towards third, right into the glove of Beauregard. Sends it accurately across the diamond to get Reynolds. It was Reynolds who was robbed of a hit by that Superman dive from Mike Fiorelli deep out in right field. And now the ground out to third base. He is 0 for 4. Milford going quietly so far here in the 7th, leaving the inning up to Kyle Nocera, who has reached base twice, once on a walk, once on a hit by pitch, and watches the first pitch drop in too low for ball 1. We've seen Peter Field fall behind all 3 batters he's faced now in the 7th inning, but he was able to come back to get the first 2. Now a called strike on the outside part of the plate. Over at Fenway Park, we monitor the action there as well. The Red Sox now with a 3-1 lead over the Yankees. As the 1-1 pitch misses inside to Nocera. It was Gary Sanchez who opened the scoring with an RBI single to give New York a brief lead, but then Hanley Ramirez with a monster 2-run home run in the 3rd inning, and Dustin Pedroia with an RBI single in the 4th. So the Red Sox up 3-1 as now Kyle Nocera hits one hard to the shortstop, and Felicio there again to snag that hard liner. And it's a 1-2-3 inning in relief for Peter Field. And so we will see bonus baseball here at Fino. We are tied at 1 at the conclusion of 7 innings of play. So we will see an 8th inning begin here at Fino Field when we come back. You're listening to coverage of Milford Legion Baseball in the Zone 4 playoffs here on. After 7 terrific innings out of Michael Farrell in this game, he will now be removed for a reliever as we enter into the top half of the 8th inning. Alex Confride, the lefty, who we saw warming up much earlier in this game, will now take over. And for Farrell, just a glistening stat line in this game. 7 innings pitched. He scattered 5 hits, allowed just the 1 run, that run crossing the plate in the top of the 7th. He walked a single batter and struck out 16. And sadly, Anthony, it will be a no decision in this game for Farrell after just such a dominant performance.
Well, unfortunately for Michael Farrell tonight, the offense just didn't come to support him. 11 runners have been left on base for Milford. And you look back to that 6th inning, Milford had a chance to go into that top of the 7th inning with Michael Farrell towing the rubber again with a much larger lead. They had a 1-0 lead at that point. They loaded the bases with only 1 out, and they didn't get a single run. And I had a feeling that that was going to come back to bite Milford. All Wachusett needed was 1 more run to tie this ball game. And Milford wasn't able to cross the plate again. And here we stand, 1-1 in the 8th.
A 1-ball, 1-strike count now, as we'll see the top of the Wachusett order here in the 8th. Artie Papandrea to get it started. And able to jump ahead 2-1. And We'll take a look at the numbers for Gunfriday on the season. After this next pitch, it sent foul off to the right. Gunfriday in his first year with Post 59 pitched 20 1/3 innings in the regular season. Appeared on the mound 7 times, made 4 starts, a record of 2-1, a 2.75 ERA. And now ready with a 2-2 pitch. And it's hit softly on the ground to second. McMillan has it clank off his glove. Can he stay with it to make the play? The throw to first base, not in time. McMillan didn't look it into the glove, hit off and ricocheted a couple of feet to his left. It was just a short throw to first, but busting it down the line was Papandrea, and he beats it out, and that will be the first error of this ball game.
McMillan let that ball eat him up. He didn't go get the big hop. There was a big hop, 1 or 2 bounces before that ball clanked off his chest. Instead, he waited for it, and Papandrea is safe at first.
So now the go-ahead run on the bases to lead off the inning for Post 42. Mike Fiorelli now in the box, showing bunt. He pulls it back as now Reynolds loses his footing behind the plate. The runner takes off, and he is safe into second. That was bizarre behind the plate for Reynolds, as initially he looked to make the snap throw to first, then ended up tripping up, landed on his backside. The runner takes off, and now in scoring position at second base.
They had Papandrea dead between first and second on the bunt attempt, and with Reynolds losing his balance, it allowed Papandrea to walk into second base.
And now a called strike on the outside part of the plate for Fiorelli. Made a tremendous catch traveling out into right field. Offensively, he is 0 for 3. And now pops this ball high in the air on the infield. Another chance for McMillan. Now loses track of it. It lands behind him, and everyone will be safe. McMillan looked to have that ball all the way, then turned around behind him as if he heard someone call him off. And the ball landed just a couple of feet right behind him. And all of a sudden now Milford losing focus defensively, and it's runners at first and second and nobody out for Wachusett.
It had been a spectacular game defensively so far, and now the error by McMillan on the leadoff hitter Papandrea to start this inning. And now maybe McMillan lost that one in the lights. I don't know what happened. He looked to have it lined up and then just let it fall to the ground.
And now ball 1 misses outside to Eddie Beauregard. And you feel all the momentum right now on the Wachusett side. No one happier than the players in the Wachusett dugout to see Michael Farrell out of this game after 7. As now Eddie Beauregard with a home run cut on that 1-0 pitch, but came up empty.
That last one has to go for a hit for Fiorelli.
An absolute gift, as now this one is grounded hard to third base. Monahan now with some confusion at third base, and he has no play. Tyler initially looked to second base to cut down the runner at second, then started to look at the runner coming down towards third, tried to swipe a tag, missed, and then it was far too late to send a throw to first base, and 3 straight mental lapses on the infield defensively for Milford has loaded the bases for Wachusett.
This has been a tough inning for Dawson McMillan. Tyler Monahan had the right idea. Any ball as a third baseman that is hit to your left, you go to second base. Tyler Monahan had to take a step or two to his left to field that ground ball, fielded it cleanly, went to go throw to second base, except Dawson McMillan was late to cover the second base bag. Tyler Monahan had nobody to throw to, and by the time he turned to his right to either tag the runner or go to third base, it was too late. Then he looked to go back to first base to at least get 1 out, and he was late there. There was no play at first base, so just a couple of mental lapses in this inning for the Milford middle infielder. And it's loaded the bases now with the cleanup hitter, Jake Nadeau, stepping to the plate for Wachusett. No outs. This could be a big inning for Wachusett.
And that may very well go in the books as a fielder's choice for Beauregard. Again, unable to give an error to Monahan. He did nothing wrong on the play, was just unable to get an out due to the tardiness of Dawson McMillan covering second. So it's now Artie Papandrea at third, Mike Fiorelli at second, Eddie Beauregard at first, and a quick 2-ball, no-strike count on the number 4 hitter, Jake Nadeau.
And Gunfriday has done his job as well. 2 ground balls and a pop fly. He should be out of this inning.
Instead, facing the bases loaded with nobody out and now falling behind the Wachusett cleanup hitter. Here's the 2-0 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. Milford with a lot of new players on this team, but Post 59 with plenty of playoff experience. But looking a little antsy here in this 8th inning, and now a swing and a miss for Nadeau. And the count evens at 2.
And you can't help but look at the offense for Milford tonight. I've said it a couple times, 11 runners left on base. This could be a much different game right now if Milford plates a couple of those.
Here's the 2-2, and it's swung on and missed. So a big strikeout for Alex Gunfriday, his first, and now the 17th strikeout for a Wachusett batter here on the night, but still a long way to go in this 8th inning. The bases loaded with now 1 down, and a chance for Liam Griffin, who reached on an infield single all the way back in the 2nd, and then grounded out and struck out in his next 2 at-bats. Now lofts one out towards center field. Racing is Sean Rebello. He can't get to it. Drops in for a hit, and a run will cross the plate. As Artie Papandreou scores, everyone had to hold up. Not sure if Rebello was going to get to that one. Went full speed into the shallow left center field gap, then dove for it, but came up just short. And it'll be an RBI single for Liam Griffin that puts Wachusett on top 2-1.
A solid effort that time in the center field, left center field gap, I should say, by Sean Rebello. However, he had no chance to make that play.
And now ball 1 sent in to Jonathan Rubin.
That ball off the bat of Griffin wasn't hit very hard. However, all the runners had to hold up with no outs.
That run unearned, with Papandreou reaching on the error by Dawson McMillan. Now a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Rubin, who sends one foul off to the right and out of play. Milford was able to handle these Wachusett matchups with ease during the regular season. A 5-2 win in Milford's home opener back on June 14th. And then it was a 15-4 Mercy Rule win in their second meeting. As the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed by Rubin, he goes down frustrated with himself that he chased that outside pitch.
And Gunfriday pulled the string on that one. A very big looping breaking ball. I'd be surprised if it touched any more than 60 miles an hour, but it did the job.
Might have been the knuckleball. We know that Gunfriday features it. And now a first pitch strike into Nick Yanko. Yanko, the reason that we played on to this 8th inning, driving in the tying run with a double in the 7th. Now hits one high in the air, but foul down the right field line. And that will end up in the Milford bullpen. And a no-ball, 2-strike count. An RBI single for Liam Griffin, giving Wachusett a 2-1 lead. The bases are still loaded for Post 42 here with 2 down. Gunfriday hoping to limit the damage. Ready now with his 0-2 pitch. And that one missing outside, and that looked like it confused the catcher, Alex Reynolds, but he was able to hop out behind the right side batter's box to keep it from going to the backstop. 1-2 now the count. The next pitch on the way, and that drops in the dirt. This one gets away from Reynolds, and now coming home from third base is Fiorelli. He scores. And a wild pitch now charged to Alex Gunfriday, and Wachusett will take a 3-1 lead.
And unfortunately, that one will go as earned against Gunfriday. However, it shouldn't have been a runner on base to begin with. That was the pop fly that Dawson McMillan either lost in the lights or heard someone else call him off and just let it fall to the infield dirt. You have to give Fiorelli a single on that play because there was no error committed, but
2-0 pitch now, and that's lofted up and out of play.
It's a tough earned run to swallow for Gunfriday.
Runners at second and third now as the pitch misses outside. It was a 2-ball, 2-strike count. And now the count is full. So Milford now trailing by 2, but 2 big potential runs in scoring position for Wachusett. Here's the payoff pitch. and it's lifted in the air in foul ground. Monahan traveling as far as he could over towards the left field bleachers, but that one hits in the bleachers. And it stays a 3-2 count.
Milford, sorry, Tim. Milford will have 7, 8, 9 due up in the bottom half of this inning. But Gunfriday needs one more out.
Here's another payoff pitch and another foul ball.
However, the 7, 8, 9 batters for Milford have combined for 4 hits, including an RBI from Jake LeBlanc. So there is hope in the home half of the 8th inning when Milford finally gets their chance to bat, even though they will be down by 2 runs, if not more. Wachusett still has runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs.
And it's been a crisis of confidence for Milford here in the late innings, and particularly here in the 8th with all of the mental miscues on the infield. Here's another 3-2 pitch, and that misses up and in for ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Alex Gunfriday. And meanwhile, all Michael Farrell can do is stare on in disbelief in the dugout. He was 2 outs away from earning a complete game shutout victory. But Wachusett able to get to him for a run in the 7th, and now watching his infield defense with some costly miscues here in the 8th inning, and as a result, Wachusett now in front 3-1. They have the bases loaded again, and now a line drive back up the middle for a base hit for Felicio, and 2 runs will come in to score for post 42 as both Eddie Beauregard and Liam Griffin cross the plate, and Wachusett will now open up a 5-1 lead.
And this is just a complete turn of events for Milford. They look to be cruising. Going back to that 7th inning, Michael Farrell was just dominant on the mound. He allows that 1 run in the 7th inning, and all the wheels have fallen off since then. Now a 5-1 Milford deficit.
And a breaking ball misses high now to Peter Field, who is now the 9th batter to come to the plate here in this 8th inning. Alex Reynolds out for a brief chat with Gunfriday.
And really only one of these runs has been earned against Gunfriday. He will get charged with maybe 2 or 3 earned runs.
And now a fly ball hit out to center field, fairly well hit, but Sean Rebello is there to make the catch. And that out will finally bring an end to the top half of the 8th inning, but not before Wachusett sends all 9 of their batters to the plate. Some very costly miscues on the infield for post 59 opens the door for a 4-run rally. And Wachusett now with a 5-1 advantage heading into the bottom of the 8th inning on this coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on MyFM 101.3. Just an absolutely shocking turn of events here for Milford post 59, so close to a victory. And now they're 3 outs away from what would be a really crushing defeat, now trailing 5-1 against Wachusett in the bottom of the 8th. Peter Field back to the mound. He's in line to get the victory now. Milford sending their bottom third of the order to the plate. Zach Sasitsky leading it off. And now a count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
And now a lot of life in that Milford dugout.
Here's the pitch, and that's down low, trying to regroup their confidence. Missing out on so many offensive chances through the regulation 7 innings, trying to make up for it here in the 8th. They need at least 4 runs to tie and 5 for a dramatic comeback victory. But plenty of shouting out of that first base dugout as the pitch is in for a called strike. And it's now a 3-2 count to Sasitsky leading off this bottom of the 8th. Here's the pitch, and it's sent in the air out to left field. In comes Papandrea. He'll have to play it on a hop. Didn't want to risk that ball getting past him, so he let it bounce. And for Sasitsky, that's his 3rd hit today.
Milford has come back from a deficit. The one game I look to is the game against Shrewsbury. They didn't end up winning that game, However, they were down 5-0 heading into the 7th inning, and Milford did plate 4 runs. That game was back on June 29th, so Milford has had some experience coming back in the late innings. They need exactly 4 to tie this game.
They were able to complete a come-from-behind walk-off victory against Northbridge earlier in this season as well, but that was a much smaller deficit to overcome, a 3-1 deficit in the early innings that they were eventually able to come back and walk off with a 4-3 win. But here, trailing 5-1, they have the leadoff runner on, with now Jake LeBlanc at the plate. LeBlanc drove in the only Milford run back in the 4th. And now sends a high pop-up in foul ground behind third base. Will it stay on the field of play? No.
And that's dedication from Eddie Beauregard over there. He was going behind the dugout to try to make that play.
A 1-ball, 2-strike count on LeBlanc, who also came to the plate in the 2nd inning with the bases loaded and 1 out, and grounded into an inning-ending double play, one of 3 bases loaded opportunities in this game for Milford that went by the boards. Sisitsky with a short lead off of first. He's held on by Rubin. And now the 1-2 pitch. And that's taken just outside as the count evens at 2-2.
That's a tough pitch to take if you're Jake LeBlanc. He gets the benefit of the doubt this time, but that low outside pitch has been there for most of the night.
The set by Field. Here's his 2-2 pitch, and it's swung on and missed. LeBlanc goes down. He's now 1 for 4 tonight. And so with 1 out now, we'll see Joe Sanchioni. He reached on an infield single his last time up, a slow roller that was hit to shortstop. Popped out of the glove of Felicio, but it was a challenging play. We've ruled it an infield hit in our books. Of course, we'll confer with the Milford scoring after the game. A first pitch strike, meanwhile, tossed in to Sanchioni. And now a hard hit ball out to left center field, racing over and sliding is Griffin, but he can't make the play. Sisitsky advances to second and will hold there. Griffin racing into the left center field gap. The center fielder then sliding feet first, trying to make a catch. But that ball ended up bouncing in front of him. And it'll go as a single for Sanchioni, now 2 on with 1 out for Milford.
It doesn't look like these Wachusett outfielders are doing a good job of picking up the ball off the bat. That time the center fielder Liam Griffin actually rounded that ball. He went behind the ball to the right and then came back in on the ball, and it looks like he lost his balance. Not sure if he was intentionally trying to dive for that ball or if he wanted to play it on the hop, but nonetheless, when he fell to the ground, he knocked the ball down and kept Zach Sisitsky at second base.
So that puts 2 on now for Sean Rebello, who takes a look at a called strike 1. Milford needs another base runner to bring the tying run to the plate. The chatter continues from the Milford dugout. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that misses. The count evens at 1-1.
And it looks like there might be a pinch hitter on deck. Ty Almeida has grabbed a bat. He would hit for Dawson McMillan.
Here's the 1-1, sent foul over the backstop. McMillan having a very tough defensive inning in this top half of the 8th. And also Tyler Almeida, who has done a good job in limited at-bats this season. It's a 1-2 count right now to Sean Rebello. The next pitch, that misses outside. This game quickly approaching the 2.5-hour mark. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Now the 2-2, that bounces. And a full count now to Rebello. A walk would load the bases.
Milford does have some life right now. However, they still have a big mountain to climb, down by 4 runs, 5-1. However, a walk here would go a long way.
Here's the 3-2, and it's hit in the air off to the right side. That should make its way out of play. It hits just behind the first base dugout. And another chance for Rebello. Things, meanwhile, have taken a turn over at Fenway Park. The Yankees now with a 4-3 lead in the 5th inning, now in the top of the 6th inning. Brett Gardner with an RBI single, and then Gary Sanchez with a 2-run home run. So Sanchez is now driven in 3 in that game. Here's the payoff pitch to Rebello. It's hit hard but foul off to the right and out of play.
Rebello putting on a good at-bat right now. Running this count full, was behind in the count, and now has made it a 3-2 count.
Sisitsky a lead off of second, Sanchioni off of first. And another 3-2 pitch, and that's in for a called strike 3. Apparently grabbing a piece of the bottom of the strike zone. Rebello thought it was ball 4, but the umpire ringing him up. And Milford now 1 out away from a very tough loss here at home.
And Sean Rebello can't let that one go by. That pitch has been there all night. Granted, there's been a couple that haven't gone to the pitcher's way, but Sean Rebello, that pitch on the outside corner needs to be swung at.
And so that leaves the game now in the hands of Tyler Almeida, making a pinch hitting appearance. The first-year player for Post 59, now getting his first playoff at bat here with the game on the line. Milford with 2 on and 2 outs. And Tyler Almeida able to jump ahead in the count 2-0. Batting in place of Dawson McMillan.
One of the last times we saw Tyler Almeida was a game against Grafton Hill here at Fino Field. Almeida went 3 for 3 in that game with an RBI. He later left the game with a back injury, but he's back here tonight.
Here's the 2-0. It's swung on and missed. Getting base runners has not been a problem for Milford in this game. It's driving them in that's been the issue. They had 2 on with 1 out here in the 8th, now 2 on with 2 down. And the 2-1 pitch is hit hard but foul down the left field line. And Milford now down to their final strike. A 2-ball, 2-strike count to Tyler Almeida. The Wachusett fans here hoping Peter Field can finish it off. Almeida back in the box, digging in on the left side. As Field comes to the set. Here is the pitch, and it's again poked down the left field line, foul. That one rolling on the ground deep off into foul territory. And it stays 2-2 to Almeida. If he gets on, it would give Aiden Wild a chance to come to the plate as the potential tying run. Here's another 2-2 pitch and another foul ball as Almeida fights hard here.
And a lot of pressure on Tyler Almeida right now, especially for a young kid. Only just finished his sophomore year at BVT. And he's putting on a good at-bat right now against Peter Field.
There's a bright future ahead in both high school and Legion ball. About to see another 2-2 pitch, and he's able to make contact again to foul it away, just biding his time here, hoping that Field will give him a pitch he can handle. Still a 2-ball, 2-strike count as the lefty takes some practice cuts. Now levels the bat over his shoulder. Here's another pitch, and it's a fly ball hit out to left field. Could be playable for Papandrea, now twisting into foul ground. He dives for it. Does he make the catch? Yes, he does. Papandrea sliding deep into foul territory, holds on to it. And what a shocking conclusion to this game here tonight as Milford falls to Wachusett by a final score of 5-1. A game that was dominated through the first 6 1/3 innings by Michael Farrell. But Wachusett able to tie it in the 7th. They break it open in the top of the 8th. And what a moment here The last time Wachusett took the field at Fino in the playoffs, they suffered a gut-wrenching loss and an elimination game in the Zone 4 finals. Milford moving on to the state tournament, but today, Wachusett able to get their revenge as they defeat Milford by a final score of 5-1.